That
Right.
never bothered me one way or the other.
Reminding everybody that we've got the young Morton in at 8:45. Just so we remember. All right, dude, you ready for the list? Greatest
I guess
feuds.
I am. I
Feel
guess I'll have
free to
to.
rip me apart at number 10. Randy Macho Man Savage, Hulk Hogan. Widely known as both of them not getting along personally, and the back and forth feuds, whether it be in the WWE and then eventually into WCW. Thoughts on that is number 10, Jimmy?
How is that number 10? First of all, and we haven't even looked at the rest, and I'm already saying to myself, how the hell is that number 10?
You think it should
And
be
it
much lower?
much lower, and on top of it, there was true legitimate heat between them. You know what's sad? Number one was you showed that awesome picture. They're all dead. Number one.
Dude, you know, you're so smart. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
Well,
my
most people
God,
would,
I still
you
can't get
know.
over the fact that the Hulkster's gone, dude.
Yeah, they're all dead. Number two, as I looked at that picture, I thought to myself, because I remember when Macho Man was raging on Hogan and blaming him for Elizabeth, and not that Elizabeth didn't have her own demons, or wasn't warped from the way Randy was with her. Let's like Hogan came across some people that really were screwed up, man. I'm thinking about Bubba. I'm thinking about how Macho flew off the handle on him. I'm like, what the, and he loved these people. He did.
Dude,
I mean,
I also think that
very
Hogan
messy.
took care of Hogan just like anybody
Sure,
else would.
they all would
And
have done the same
people's
thing.
feelings get hurt when that happens, right?
Yeah, they do. I guess they do. But there was some unreasonable shit. They don't tell me Hogan's behind the reason why you and Elizabeth broke up. I mean, I didn't agree with what he was doing then. I'm like, stop it. At some point, don't you blame yourself for anything? What, he wasn't
Well,
overly,
let me ask you something. Do you
you
think
know,
Savage was a good looking guy?
not particularly. I had an
He
incredible
was not,
body.
right? He was
But I
not a
could
good
see,
looking guy.
yeah, but it's in the eye of the beholder. I'm sure there were plenty of women who thought he was hot for various reasons. I don't fucking know.
Jimmy, all right.
I don't
So,
think so.
as
I mean,
well
but
as
what
you
do I know?
know, you're a smart guy, right?
Shawn
So,
Michaels was a good-looking guy back in the day.
yes,
That
that
was
was a good
that's
looking guy.
that's a,
Yeah.
that's a good-looking guy. Honestly, I thought Marty Jannetty's a much better-looking guy than.
Not Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn Michaels better. I
No,
asked
no,
that.
no, not than Shawn Michaels, who we're talking about right now. You asked me
Oh,
Macho Man.
you
I think
talking
I'd
about
rather be
Randy?
Marty. Yeah, I'd rather be Marty Jannetty back in the day as far as looks goes than Macho Man. You know.
Part of the problem is too, like I was thinking about Elizabeth, right? And it's like this dude was on fire every day. Could you
Right.
imagine having to deal with that every fucking day? It's like, bro, come on. We've talked about dealing with women that are over complicated. Like, we were talking about if you dated Ariana Grande and she dumped you, like, where would you go from there? But, or, like Nikki Bella. Could you imagine
No,
dealing with that? That's like,
no.
but Randy Savage is the female Nikki Bella.
I don't know if I would say that's entirely accurate, but I know what you're saying. You're saying that Randy Savage was very high maintenance. And he was.
Very high maintenance, dude. Very high
Very
maintenance.
high maintenance. And Elizabeth was the opposite of him in personality, but Elizabeth also had a compulsive, addictive personality. That's why she ran off with Lex and was doing whatever she was doing. And you can't. But he should have had a lot more wrath towards Lex Luger than Hulk. Just
But they were already broken up at that point, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, but he kept ranting and raving about Hogan for years after that. That rap stuff was years after.
Yeah, but I think it was more of a. Listen, dude. We will never know the exact truth, but I think there was a lot of. You know what? I think when push came to shove, Hogan wielded a lot of power, just like John Cena has wielded a lot of power in the
Right,
industry. And
right,
sometimes they got to do what
right,
they got to do to make their
right,
money. I mean, in the end,
right.
let me ask you something. In the end, would you rather have more people like you or live in a mansion that John Cena lives in? I'd rather take the mansion. You know what I'm saying?
And the bottom line is anybody who thinks that one is definitively right over the other, when
Ah,
egos become involved, these guys had huge egos too. They didn't just have wealth, power, fame. They had huge egos through that wealth, power, and fame. And like you said, we'll never know what really went on there. But I'm sure that both of them, with their huge egos, at some point it had to clash, and it did. That's it. Lennon and
yeah.
McCartney couldn't get along either. So it is what it is.
Well, I think eventually that happens to everybody, right? All right. Number 9, Dusty Rhodes against Ric Flair. By the way, there's a video out there, CM Punk's top Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Okay.
And Dusty Rhodes is on that Mount Rushmore. It might not be more. It might be the top 10 wrestlers. And
Right.
Dusty Rhodes is in it, does not mention Hogan at all.
He hates Hogan. Punk's never liked Hogan.
But
Punk's a Dusty Rhodes guy.
but it doesn't matter if you hate someone, you have to recognize
Some
what
people
they
don't.
are.
Some people don't. I don't agree with it. You know, can I see Dusty Rhodes being on someone's Mount Rushmore? Absolutely. It depends on where you were raised, how you came up, and how you look at wrestling. You
You
know,
think
if
it,
you
you think
want
it's do you think it's fair that's on number 9, Dusty and
to
Rick?
Flair and Rhodes, I could see Flair and Rhodes being higher.
Sure, I got it. That's fair.
I could see it.
You know, it's funny. I was like, as I'm making a list, I'm thinking to myself, like, how many times will Flair and how many times will Hogan show up on this list? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, outside of what comes later with Austin and Rock, it's Flair and Hogan first, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking about that feud in general. Like, we were younger, right? So we just didn't understand the dance of pro wrestling, I think. And
Okay.
to me, what made that feud so great is Ric Flair always holding on to the belt and Dusty Rhodes always chasing and eventually getting that win, which would only last
Right.
a month. You know what I mean? And then he
Right.
was back on the chase again, whether then he would end up in the U.S. title
Well,
or the TV
it's
title or whatever the fuck it is.
it really is. You know, more so in a lot of ways for the common everyday person, more so than Hogan and Savage, because Hogan and Savage were really over the top characters. They were superheroes in many ways. Flair represented the businessman, as he said, the Learjet flying and all that other stuff. With he was always the professional heel that you just despised if you were the common person. And there's Dusty, son of a plumber, for God's sakes. I mean, like, and the two of them with their promos, both of them just were like the best at what they did. So this is really much more hits hit home for the everyday person probably than Hogan Savage, Flair versus Rhodes. It was a perfect matchup.
Let me
It
let me
really
ask you
was.
this. I mean, kind of
Yeah.
going off subject, but
Mm-hmm.
when we started watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, when we finally got cable and TBS and
Mm-hmm.
all that shit, when you looked at the WWE and you looked at Georgia Championship Wrestling, did you look at the wrestling as being totally different from one another? I don't remember us discussing that in our younger ages. Like, oh, did we just take it as we did?
No, because in those early days, and I had access to Gordon Sully through Florida Championship Wrestling for a couple of years before we finally got Georgia Championship Wrestling. In the early days, we were still with Vince Sr. for the most part, especially when I started in '79 or so. So it was wrestling. It was a sports presentation. Uh, it wasn't the show yet. It wasn't the entertainment yet. It wasn't. It was a sporting presentation. And Vince McMahon was a very serious play-by-play announcer. There was no entertainment other than the sports presentation itself. Bruno Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko, Pedro Morales, Ken Patera. When Morocco comes in, he's still a wrestler first and foremost. It's not all about entertainment. What, one time he ate a sandwich. 20 years later, that could be part of your gimmick, coming out and eating a sandwich during a match. You do it every week. You know what I mean? This was still wrestling, is what I'm
But
getting at. And
when
that's
you
why
look
we
at
didn't discuss it.
number 10, Hogan and Savage, and number 9, Rhodes and Flair,
Mm-hmm.
which seemed more real to you?
More real? More real is Flair and Rhodes. More real. Which one am I going to watch or want to watch more? Hogan Savage. I'm
Fair
just
enough.
hammering home that this was a much more blue collar type matchup that the fans at home could probably really sink their teeth into. And the Hogan Savage thing is much more superhero stuff, and we've proven over the years with the success of comic book characters in the movie theaters, people could sink their teeth into that gladly too.
Good comments, Jimmy, man. Good
Yeah.
comments. All right,
Good
number
days.
8. Number 8. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, maybe one of the more harder few. There's Gorilla Monsoon, who we're supposed to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
That guy's made our list, by the way. Now, by the way, Brian
Yeah, well,
Solomon,
Mike,
you've made
by
our
the way, let
list.
me just throw this in really quick. You're very kind because I'm sure down the road if they want to have other folks on, I'm sure you'll entertain that. But to me, it's like, okay, well, if you do that, then maybe we won't have a spot for your guys next time. Maybe we'll have somebody that we feel is more worthy. How's that? But that's me. I don't take that shit lightly. I know you don't either. But
No.
you're more of a gentleman than I am, so kudos to you.
Well, it's not that. It's not that, Jimmy. It's
You
just
know?
like I don't like fuck. You plan, right?
Yeah, don't fuck
There's
around.
work behind this.
Yeah, don't
So
fuck around.
when you fuck around, you cause a lot of headaches,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
annoying.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
don't want us to make headaches for you because
Right.
we can.
Yeah.
We've done it
Yeah.
before.
And
So
by the way, we don't do this for free. So piss off.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly.
So piss off on your high horse. All right. Go on.
All right, back to Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Yeah. This could easily be higher because this is another one that's seated in real life dislike, man. These guys can't stand each other. And this is really good polar opposites. It's weird. Let's think about polar opposites when we've discussed these three feuds so far. Hogan, Savage, Flair, Rhodes, Hart, Michaels. Now, Flair, Rhodes is obviously polar opposites. We explained that previously. Hart, Michaels is definitely polar opposites. You've got Mr. Surly, tactician, good guy, and Mr. Flamboyant prick, pretty boy, Shawn. It's perfect. It's perfect. Are Hogan and Savage polar opposites? Not as much. Isn't
Not
that
as much.
interesting?
No, you're
Isn't
right.
that interesting? And the
Yeah.
one that would draw the biggest ratings is Hogan Savage. I find that fascinating. But Hart versus Michaels, amazing shit. This could easily be higher. And to this day, you and I still go back and forth whether or not the whole thing was a shoot or a work regarding the screw job. So I could see this being higher on the list. Brett
Well,
never stops, by the way.
well,
But
so
what is
far
Brett's problem? Brett
10
never
not.
stops.
You know what? I was thinking about Bret Hart the other day. I don't know why I'm thinking about these guys.
He never
But you
stops
know
because he never
what?
stops.
But Bret Hart, you know what? He was a great wrestler.
Yes.
Had a good look. Had it.
Mhm.
And you know what? His mic skills, as much as people want to say they weren't very good, they were
No,
good.
I don't say they were. I never said they weren't very good. They were good. It could have been better. That's all.
Jimmy, I don't think they should have been better. It
You're right.
almost his
I
mic
think you're
work
right.
reflected the wrestler. He was
I think you're right.
all business and he
I
didn't
think you're
have
right. I
any
don't.
funny in him.
And let me make this clear. Never once did Bret Hart hurt himself with a promo. Okay,
Never.
so I've never said
Never.
anything like that. I just felt like in a sea of guys that were really, really engaging on that microphone, Bret was dry.
Now,
So
the three feuds and the six wrestlers
yeah,
that were in the my top 10, 9, 8, every one of them could be in someone's Mount Rushmore, right? You couldn't argue with
absolutely.
any one of them.
Absolutely. They're all that kind of material. Agreed.
All right. So far you've got 10, 9, and 8. You think they should be in a better spot, right?
They could be. They could be. I could see them being higher, but we haven't hit what's higher. So let's see what we got.
Number 7, the Von Erichs
Yeah.
versus the Fabulous Freebirds.
Another one.
I don't think this can, when you talk about rivalries, fake or real, this has got to be in everybody's top 10 list. End of story, in my opinion, forever and ever and ever and ever.
Greatest tag team rivalry, right?
Well, it's a rivalry. It doesn't matter, tag team, I don't give a shit.
No,
Right?
I'm just thinking though. I'm trying to think of other rivalries and tag teams that would have. I guess there's a few, but this is the
Give me one. Give me one that was important.
Well, I was just
tag
thinking
team
about
rivalry.
I was just thinking about the Express, and I know the Express had major feuds with the Express.
Yeah, like Rock and Roll Express or
yeah.
I got
it. But this is the blueprint of any. This is the greatest tag team feud by far. This is amazing. I can't wait to see what the rest of these matchups are because all four of these are freaking fantastic.
I agree. I agree. What did the Freebird Von Erich feud mean to you? I know I was more of a WCCW guy, but what did it mean to you?
I'm always amazed at your complete love affair with the Von Erichs because we didn't get too much exposure to it. I don't feel like we did.
We didn't. But the
You
thing was, the
know?
magazines, looking at them,
Right,
and then seeing the Freebirds. And really, my first introduction to the Freebirds, Jimmy, was when they went to the AWA and they showed
right,
the Bad Street USA video because that used to be on ESPN, right?
right, right,
So I
right,
was like, "Holy shit!"
right,
Now and then, all of a
right.
sudden, you start getting WCCW, and then you start
Yeah,
watching some of the older programming. I don't know how I was able to, but I know I did.
right,
And then I was
right,
told, and again, Kerry Von Erich, my God, man.
right. You know, it's funny too, and I'll stand by this, and this may sound strange. And unfortunately, David died young, so we didn't get to see him finish what I think he was going to finish. Um, Michael Hayes and Kerry Von Erich, both. You know, people always love to say, well, Hogan kept his spot in the WWF. Well, you know what? If Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes weren't so busy hogging, let me play devil's advocate, weren't so busy hogging the main event spotlight from Florida to Georgia up to the North Carolina area, perhaps Michael Hayes, who I'm telling you, he was the shit when he was a young man and the leader of the Freebirds. Oh my God, did he have world championship written all over him? And the same thing, obviously, with Kerry and David. We lost. David would have been the guy to bulldog through that door. He would have, because he was a worker and he wanted to be world champion and he could have done the work and he would have done the work. David. So I could see David going, all right, move aside, guys, share it for a while. Which is sad because Kerry didn't have that wherewithal, dude. Kerry was just trying to get one day at a time the way Kerry was living. And Michael was all fucked up too. Hey, hey,
No,
rock
I mean,
star.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I think if they had their shit together a little bit more, WCCW
Could have
could
done a
have
lot.
bypassed WCW for sure, and not
Could have
probably
done a
not
lot.
WWE.
Could
Yeah,
have
and I
done
was
so
thinking
much
about
more.
the other day of the library again. Go to the Monte and the Pharaoh, YouTube page or the Facebook page, and you could see the library. Just scan this QR code and get going with it, and you could see all the guys. But I was thinking, we had who did we have on? We've had Brian Adius, right?
Uh huh.
Scott Casey,
Uh huh.
Bill Irwin.
Right.
Uh, shit. Who
From
else?
The Texas area.
From
We trying to.
WCCW.
A lot. I figured this is more your deal. You know all these guys.
We had Tom, right?
Had
The
a lot.
bodyguard, the WCCW bodyguard.
Yep.
And I was thinking
Had a
about
lot.
Holly. I was thinking about Holly Von Erich when we had her on, which I love that interview.
Uh
Do you
huh.
know we got a lot of shit on our webpage about the way we handled her? People
What's
felt
that?
like we were muscling her around and putting her in a real bad predicament.
I don't remember any of that. I don't. I
I'm
remember
just,
her
I
liking.
listen. I always wonder why people say things, and respectfully, I respect everybody's opinion, but it's like,
Right.
I was a little shocked, to be honest with
You
you.
know
That's
what? We should put up before our broadcast warning. If you are coming here for strictly to get pro wrestling questions and answers, you've come to the wrong place. You know? There will be wrestling questions asked, but there will also be real life questions asked. You know? Some way to word that, like a warning, like hello. This is who we are, especially after doing this for 8 years now. Hello. You know?
well, I got to tell you, as a fan, having
So
them on our show again, Jimmy, I'm proud of the work that we've done here together. Okay, listen. So we've got 10, 9, 8, 7. At number 6, CM Punk, John Cena. What do you think there? I think Cena
interesting.
deserves to be in the top 10. And, as much as I'm not a big Phil fan,
Yeah, I guess this is, I always feel like Cena's greatest rival is Randy, but this is probably the most famous one. I mean, he's got the stuff with Brock too, but now this is the one that basically would be the one.
you really think
Just,
Randy is his greatest feud?
I think it's his Joker. Yeah, I do. I mean,
I
traditionally,
would think that Edge would have been his Joker, don't you
no, I
think?
don't believe. No, I don't think so. No, I think traditionally it's been John and Randy all these years, and it's been explored multiple times over the years, as even recently. It's his longest, most consistent foe. Let me put it that way. That's how I
Fair
look at
enough.
Randy. That's what I think
So,
about
but
that.
you don't agree with CM Punk, John Cena.
No,
By the way, the
I
bodyguard's name
do.
is Bill Colville. I just had one of
Bill,
those
yes,
old man
Bill
brain
Colville. Yep,
freezes.
yep.
Another fantastic interview,
Oh, he
dude.
was
I
great.
love these WCCW guys, dude. I just love everything about them. But go ahead, what you say to Punk and
He was
Cena?
great, Bill Colville. Well, this is the one that really changed everything. There is no. I'll be bold with it, but it's the truth because everything has a point of origin. If Punk doesn't walk away from the John Cena and the Rock and all that other stuff, there is no eventual birth of an AEW because Cody Rhodes is watching what Punk is doing. People were taking notes. Hey, I can go somewhere else. I can do other things. I don't have to do this. And that led to the birth of AEW with Cody. Bottom line, this is a huge, very important feud. And it is based in personal feelings. Punk has no use for John. I mean, they've learned to work together, obviously. That's what professionals do. I think Punk has become much more professional than he was back then. But yeah, no, this is a great feud. I know you got to get John in on this list somewhere. So, but he moves all the way back up to the top, though, compared to some of the other ones we've been naming.
Okay, so you don't agree with it being in the number 6 spot, right? Was that 10,
Not
9,
above,
8,
not
7,
above, not
6?
above Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I definitely don't. Hogan Savage? No, I don't think so.
Flair Rhodes, Von Erich's Freebirds.
Traditionally, to me, no, but I might be clinging to tradition right now, which is kind
It's
of
fair.
nerdy.
All right, so number
Kind of
5,
nerdy.
The
Yeah,
Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
yeah. Well, this to me, look, if we're just talking box office and attraction, this tops all of them so far. Rock Austin
Wow,
was
really? So
well.
so when
Think
you're
about it.
talking
Wasn't
must
the
see, must see,
well?
that's the one.
Well, isn't it during the highest rated history of professional wrestling? Yes or no?
Attitude Era, agree. Yes, it was.
That would be a yes. Did they or did they not have a trilogy
They did
at
at
WrestleMania?
WrestleManias. Yep.
All right. Okay. So to me, on a business level, forget it. This trumps all of them. This would be at number one right now because of what it did. This was the greatest. The Rock and
So
Austin, and they were polar
if
opposites too in a way. They were
as
great.
a fan, if I think about it, I'd rather see Hogan Savage. I'd rather see Freebirds Von Erich. Then after that, yeah, I would go with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I guess you're forgetting about the spectacle of it all. And yes, there would be incredible spectacle with Hogan Savage. Yes, there would be. Von Erich's Freebirds, there'd be some spectacle, but it would be more about the personalities. And then you have, let's put Howard Finkel announcing for WrestleMania, and you hear, "If you smell, put it on." It's 1999, Mike, and
By the
out
way,
comes
Rib
the
Short's asking if you're wearing a Manchester United shirt.
yes, sir. Yes, I am.
Look at that. Phil says the
Um,
Von Erich's Freebirds with a Hatfield and McCoy.
yep,
Rib
totally agree.
says he expected
Totally.
Sean and Brett to be number 1.
I can see why it would be. I'm just looking at it from more of like a mainstream overall success of these legendary feuds. And if you're being fiscally and historically responsible, the Rock and Austin is the breadwinner. And they're both absolutely legendary. They're both on people's Mount Rushmores. I could see that both of them being on it. I don't know. To me, the sheer spectacle of these matches, I would have so far Austin and Rock number one and Hogan Savage number two on the spectacle of it all and what it did for the box office. But that's where I'm at, Mike.
That's fine. At number 4,
Man,
Ricky Steamboat. Ric Flair. So
man.
Ric Flair comes up on the board now a second time.
Right. Was
You
this
know how I
really a
feel about those two, dude. I
this
think it
is
was
this
a
is this
match
really a
Randy Savage Steamboat match,
is this really a feud or is this just an absolute classic clinic between face and heel, which is what it is. But is this really a feud? Because right away I'm thinking feud, right? That's what this is called.
Well,
Feud.
they had the trilogy, right?
Yeah. But was it a feud? Feud? Like, did it feel? I don't. Because I'm thinking of San Martino Zabisco, and I'm going, yeah. that was a feud. Okay. And then I look at Flair and Steamboat, and I think that was a trilogy of like a clinic on how to do a face versus a heel. But was it a feud for the ages? Like a feud? Doesn't feel like that to me. Did I miss something? I might have. What do you think?
Wrestling back then was a bit strange, right? Because if
Yeah.
we remember, Flair is the heel, and then right after winning the title, he also becomes the face as Terry Funk decides to pile drive him, right? So,
Right.
um, interesting. You know, as I get older, I start to analyze things a little bit differently. And as much as I hated it back then, because I always looked at it as how can we top my match at WrestleMania 3? And they did their damnedest. And I still stand by
Right.
the fact that they wrestled in front of 5,000 people. And guess
Yeah.
what? Doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah.
No one gave a shit, right? So, and really that does mean a lot. As much, if people don't care, it doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
So, but that being said, if you talk about the storytelling those two did for that, I understand where you're saying that. Was it really a feud? Was it more like a rivalry?
Right.
Right? More
Yeah.
like greatest rivals, not biggest
Yeah.
feud.
Right.
So I could see where I might have not got this one right.
Well, you got it right if it's like, big one of the great rivalries because it was. It had a trilogy and it's legendary. So in that context, yeah, it belongs here. I don't know where I'd put it though so far. I'm not putting it ahead of Hogan Savage or the spectacle of Rock versus Austin during the Attitude Era. I'm not doing that. I'd honestly rather see Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Am I allowed to say that?
Oh no, you can. You can.
You know?
Rib thinks that they're supposed to be. So all right. Number 3, Austin McMahon.
Jeez. Well, doesn't this trump everyone, every single one of them, as far
I
as what it?
think I think when you see number 1, you'll agree with me, but I don't think you'll agree with number 2. But when we get to it, but let's talk about Austin McMahon.
Austin McMahon was even bigger than Austin versus The Rock.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got the basically the biggest box office success, good guy versus the biggest heel in the history of the business. This is one right now on a business level. On a historical level, this is one. It changed
It's funny.
everything.
I got to ask you. You mentioned Zabisco Sammartino.
That's a
Are you
feud.
surprised they're not on this list?
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay because you know what? There was wrestling after 1980.
And I don't think that feud tops any of the ones we're discussing right now, to be honest with you.
That depends. I had to think about that. Go on.
I mean, who could be like,
Historically, as I run down this list so far, no, it doesn't top any of them historically. No, you're right. Go on.
what's the word? Like you don't make the list, but you're like, help the old man. I can't remember. What's the word?
What? Like when
You
they
didn't
send the
make.
leftover Jets to the
No,
other
like you
roster,
have a
like
list of winners and then honorable mention. Zabisco and
honorable
San
mention.
Martino get an honorable mention. You know who
Yeah,
else gets an honorable mention? Piper Valentine would get an honorable mention.
and sweater vest versus the dude who broke his leg and his wife was yelling at him at that independent event.
After he broke his leg.
Yeah,
You have
I
to
told you not
take
to
care of your
wrestle.
family. Greatest story ever, guys. Me and Jimmy go to a independent wrestling
Fucking
card,
ridiculous.
and it's held on an outside. There's like no one there.
By the
reason
water.
we went, by the way, because Terry Funk was there taking pictures and signing autographs. So that was
Yes.
cool. So
Yes.
Jimmy and I go sit, watch the match, and there's a guy wrestling, Jimmy's favorite wrestler, sweater vest.
No.
And he's got his kid and his wife there, and he fucking misses his spot, falls out of ring, breaks his leg, and his wife is screaming at him because
Screaming at him.
he's gonna fucking lose his job.
Right. Standing over him, yelling at him while he lies there with his leg pointing south. I'm like, what? Southeast, actually. That was the problem.
Oh, Rib likes Triple H and Foley. Do they deserve to be on here?
It was a nice feud. I don't know if it makes a top 10.
Oh, come on. Phil puts Dreamer Raven. Stop it. Just stop. My God.
He did. He
Fucking
put Dreamer and Raven.
Dreamer and Raven.
Well, in ECW
No,
annals.
no,
In
no,
ECW annals,
no.
not in this, not in this scheme of things. No.
You know what that whatever, dude. Anyway, McMahon, Austin, Vince McMahon saved his company, probably the greatest heel of all time against probably one of the greatest faces of all time. We agree that McMahon is the greatest heel of all time.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is.
He'll never be topped.
Right. Yeah, and the box office says Stone Cold is the most successful face in the history of professional wrestling. So
that's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
Can't argue.
What?
Number 2, Terry Funk, Ric Flair.
Well, I love this feud, and I love this matchup, and it's fantastic. What the hell is it doing at number 2? Stop it! How did this get all the way up at the top? That it trumps McMahon and Austin?
I'll tell you why.
No, it doesn't.
I'll tell you why, Jimmy. I started thinking about Terry Funk.
Now you're
Terry Funk.
Go ahead.
No, like he would go to Japan. He knew how to wrestle in Japan. He'd go to WCW. Knew how to wrestle in WCW, but their style. He goes to WWE and he could do the whole character shtick with no problem at all.
No.
Right?
Right.
Even Bory Funk couldn't do that, right? Bory Funk couldn't do that. But
Bory Funk couldn't do anything compared to his brother.
Remember Haas Funk? Funk.
Dude, that was some bad stuff. Go on.
Dude, I fucking loved it, dude.
You liked that stuff? No, I like.
You didn't like Terry Funk in the WWE?
No, I did. I love Terry, but I thought that the rest of the entourage was ridiculous.
And then who was the other Funk?
I thought you were going to start bringing up like other terrible gimmicks, like Uncle Elmer's wedding or some garbage like that.
Uncle Elmer's wedding rocked, by the way. Come on.
Oh, stop it. That was awful. You probably tuned in for Billy and Chuck too, didn't you?
Dude, with the other 10 million people. Yes, I did.
I know. I understand. Ugh. Lame.
So you don't like Flair?
Not all the way up at this position. Look, you mentioned just from a purist thing, Von Erichs and Freebirds, Flair and Rhodes, Flair and Steamboat. Flair and Funk do not belong ahead of, historically speaking, Flair and Steamboat for shit sure. I wouldn't put it above the Von Erichs versus the Freebirds on a historically responsible ranking list, but that's me. And I don't think Flair versus Funk was more famous or had more impact than Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. No, I don't. And I don't think it had more impact than Hogan and Savage. I hate you, Hulk Hogan. Yeah. No. McMahon Austin? No. Stop. If this is on
I knew you weren't going to like that. I want to remind
number 2. You've got it at number 2. You've got it at number 2. It's too high.
I want to remind everybody at 8:45 we've got this up and coming NWA superstar Kerry Morton will be interviewed by the Howard Sterns of Pro Wrestling, and I want to remind everybody too. Please visit us at the Monte and the Pharaoh website. Just click that QR code. You could donate in case you want to see certain superstars. We're all willing to bring them in, plus on our own. And the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube page, click there. You can go there, like, subscribe, please. And the Monte and the Pharaoh Facebook page, just click there. All right, number 1. Are you ready?
That's on acid. Go ahead.
Cat on acid. Hogan Andre, number 1. Hard to argue. Won't accept argument here. Greatest feud of all time. Most needed feud of all time. Changed the landscape of pro wrestling. Hogan, Andre. Friday night's the main event. Over 10 million watching that show.
Well, you basically said everything I would say anyway. It's still the most important one. You don't have anything else without it. They went from arenas to stadiums.
Ooh, this is a good one. Hold on a second. I'm going to put my glasses on, dude, because I can't see. I want to read some of the comments to you.
On a regular basis, stadiums for decades.
All right, here we go. We got Steve Ray Tyler saying Slaughter and the Iron Sheik. Oof, that was a good one, bro.
It's a great feud. It's a great feud. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I wouldn't even know where to begin right now because we're running over these. I'm like swamping the in my brain
Phil
to
is
try to.
saying Slaughter versus the Sheik. Those were great feuds.
That's a great one. Raven Dreamer. Phil.
Jason Morning saying he wished Warrior and Rude were on the list. And by the way, Jason, there's a video out there of Rick Rude's son talking about how Rick Rude is about to beat the shit out of the Ultimate Warrior because he couldn't take it. Rib is thinking Pete Rose versus Kane. I'm not going to disagree.
What about Jake and Rick Rude?
Hard to argue, dude.
Come on.
Ooh,
Wasn't he
here's
like
another one.
painting his wife on
Snooker
his pants?
Morocco. Nuff said.
Yeah, that was great. It's legendary.
Joe's saying, hey, let's guys, don't forget Rick Steamboat against Flair. They feuded in the 70s and early 80s.
Right.
Phil is saying he knows how much we love Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer is not on anybody's list, Phil. I'm sorry, pal.
Unless you want to
thank
take a
you,
nap.
Phil. Jimmy Jack Funk. I forgot the name. Jimmy Jack Funk. The Funk Brothers. You love that shit, Jimmy.
I did. I remember loving Terry, but I agree with Scott Hall. Bory wasn't for me. He never was.
Which was
Bory.
better, Pat Patterson, Sergeant Slaughter, Iron Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter?
Oh, come on. The alley fight? Nothing tops the alley fight. Stop it.
So you're going with Patterson Slaughter.
Because of the final, the alley fight was, and the Cobra Clutch challenge. No, there was more drama in the Patterson Slaughter feud. Agreed,
dude. You know what? I'm gonna go against the grain and go with you on this one, dude. Because I think you're right.
Look, listen. The Slaughter Sheik thing was just an easy grab, and Vince grabbed it because it was so easy back in those days to do the ethnic thing, and it was just there. Take it, do it. They were both perfect at what they did, and it worked. But the Patterson Slaughter one needed a fine build. You had the announcer. Patterson was like starting to announce. Slaughter starts his Cobra Clutch challenge. Slaughter getting everyone submitting. He starts to slowly insult Patterson. Don't you remember that? You're yellow. You don't want to take the challenge. Don't you? You remember all of this stuff, don't you, Mike?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, Patterson takes the challenge. Patterson basically gets out of it. He's about to get out of it. And this was months that the Cobra Clutch challenge was going on. And here's Patterson. He's gonna do it. He's gonna get out of it. Slaughter attacks him. Bloody beats the shit out of him. Blah blah blah. And it culminates in this freaking alley fight at Madison Square Garden. The crowd was bloodthirsty. The crowd was rabid.
Dude, I gotta tell you, that Cobra Clutch challenge was so fucking. Right. You looked forward to it every week. Little did you know that they taped it all on the same day, but. You know, for us, it was unbelievable. But wait a minute. Let's be fair to the Sheik Slaughter. That build up was pretty good too. Remember when they were crossing each other, right?
Yes. But that one was more just how do you not do that feud? That one was kind of like ready made.
Right. It's low hanging fruit. I get it.
How do you not do that feud? And that's no discredit. Listen, that's a classic matchup. Those two. It's a great rivalry, but I'm sorry, I enjoyed the Patterson Slaughter one much more. And the alley fight, you're not topping the alley fight.
Well, should either one of those have been on the Monte list?
I could see Sheik and Slaughter. That's where Phil is like. You said Phil came up with that one.
Who gets knocked out? Who gets knocked out for that?
What, for Sheik and Slaughter?
Yeah.
Well, I think Sheik and Slaughter is more historically impactful than Flair and Funk, and you've got him way up there. I got to be honest, that would be the one I would bounce.
I understand. I get it.
I'm not bouncing Hogan and Savage, Flair versus Rhodes, Hart versus Michaels, Von Erich versus Freebirds, Punk versus Cena, no. Rock versus Austin, no. Flair versus Steamboat, no. McMahon versus Austin, no. And Hogan Andre, no. I'm not bouncing any of those. But I would bounce Ric Flair versus Funk for Slaughter Sheik. I would.
That's fair enough. You know what? It's hard to argue that. I can't really argue that.
I bet you there's some other great ones we're forgetting about right now, you know, where it's like, wait a minute, that was better.
How about Piper Hogan?
Piper Hogan is, let me see here. Piper Hogan. Well, it's already shows what colors I wear, but I would much rather see Piper Hogan than Flair versus Rhodes, but that's me. Roddy Piper was Hogan's greatest bad guy.
All right, so let's speak about this before we go off the air.
Yeah.
Okay. Flair, Rhodes, Piper, Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, I put up the Sheik Slaughter thing.
Nice.
Which one was more important feud?
Flair versus Rhodes or Piper versus Hogan? Well,
Yeah, now remember,
Piper,
we can't go by,
obvious.
but you can't go by like, because the WWE was a much more successful place.
Yeah, but but at the time, Vince McMahon was taking chances with his every last penny and his college tuitions and stuff like that in his house. So no, nothing was a guaranteed. And 2020 hindsight doesn't apply here. What applies here is what happened. And what happened here is because of Hogan, because of Piper, because of WrestleMania 1, because of MTV, because of everything that comes afterwards, the right players were in the perfect place at the right time to let history turn into what it turned into. Nope, Hogan and Piper is much more important in the landscape of end result and where we are today in this business than Flair and Rhodes. Sorry. That's the truth. And it doesn't matter if I grew up on the East Coast. It matters what happened. And what happened is that Hogan and Piper were the pillars, the good guy, bad guy pillars, the face and the villain that made everything what it is today. So no, Hogan and Piper is it. And Hogan and Andre is the reinforcement of all the steps that it took with Hogan and Piper, because that's the steps that are taken to get to Hogan and Andre, where you are now playing Coliseum level sea of madness. And the whole world wants to know, is Hulk Hogan going to lift Andre the Giant? So no, it all goes back to what happened, and 2020 hindsight doesn't mean crap in the scheme of things, because it's what happened is what happened. And Vince was taking every last chance. Back then, nothing was guaranteed. Vince was dreaming and cashing in on his dreams because he was going for them, and he got them.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. I personally didn't put Piper and Hogan on there.
Well, maybe it just didn't come to mind. It's just, there's a lot of legendary feuds in this business. I'm sure somebody out there is screaming from the territory days about somebody. Oh, what about this one, or what about that one?
What about Baron Mikhail Cicluna versus Johnny Rods?
Hey, I tell you what, historically, we didn't mention John Tolos and Freddie Blassie because we weren't around. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really. You don't understand.
They had a legendary feud. If you lived in California back in the 70s, you saw it.
Wow, great.
But I'm not ready to put it above Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
That's a classic, bro.
I can't.
All right, man. We're getting to that 8:45 show.
All right.
Hold on, dude. I got to get prepared because you're going to send this out. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to, again, thank 500 Level for becoming part of sponsor at the Monte and the Pharaoh page. A reminder, code MP30 for 30% off. Come on now, guys. You're going to love it. I want to thank everybody for joining us on a Thursday night where there's so much going on. We're up against a lot of stuff. Kerry Morton at 8:45.
Elm Logistics. For all your logistic needs, call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.